I start to perform stand-up comedy, okay? And one guy yelled from the back, what is the best heckle I've ever heard in my life.
Really?
He yelled, "Excuse me, sir. I think I speak for everyone here when I say that we would enjoy silence more than the sound of your voice."
What?
Yes.
What's the best heckle that's been thrown your way? Or most memorable?
There's too many, man. All right. We'll go around. We'll go around the. All right. When I was Black Room, best one I ever got. I was bombing at this place. Used to be called Mixed Nuts. It's now called the Comedy Union. And I was up there, and dude, when I tell you 5 minutes of straight silence, dry mouth, nothing, and it was the summertime when sound carries, right? And I am just going and going, and it's nothing and nothing. And then just in the middle of one of my jokes, I'm meandering in this long setup for something else that's going to bomb. This big black lady in the back, just out loud to nobody, just sort of looked around and went like, "I ain't laughed yet." And the whole place exploded laughing. And I didn't know how to deal with it. I didn't know I had to address it. I kept trying to do my material, and then they were just laughing at me, trying to do my... It was fucking humiliating. And then, I don't know, there's one... I'll tell you the weirdest one I got. I've told this one before. One of the weirdest ones I got, I was at Dangerfield's doing the midnight show, and it was just one of those nights everybody was bombing. The place was packed, and nobody was laughing. I remember the guy in front of me, like, he was just bombing so bad, and he was on some show where he played a bartender, and he had gotten beaten up. It's like, "Oh, did you guys see that movie?" He's trying to, "You guys see this movie? Blah, 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 blah." He goes, "Yeah, I played the bartender. The star of the movie beat the shit out of me. You guys see that?" And then some kid in the back just goes, "He should have killed you." So I was like, oh, and that guy walked past me, never even looked at me. He just, when he got off stage, he just had this flop sweat and just walked by me just going, "Wow. Wow." And then I went on stage, immediately bombing. And there was this group of kids in the corner, these white dudes, and they were just ready for a fight. They were just super fucking hot. That whole "my dad used to beat the shit out of me" vibe. Yeah. And everything I had learned up to that point was like, "Bill, don't get into it with them." I heard him talking, and I was just, don't say anything. And then finally, it's this fucking thing when you're on stage as a comic. You think like this, and this is like some sort of like a fucking gun and bullets, but it isn't. It's just plastic shit. And I just like, I finally said, I go, "Hey, you know what's going on over there? What are you guys talking about?" And blah, blah, blah. And I can't remember what to say. And this guy just finally just yelled out, he goes, anything, he just yells out, he goes, "Anything red and on stage is a faggot." Right? And it was the most childish heckle I ever got. This is back when like people didn't freak out about that word. You guys are like, "Oh my God, what does that say about gay people?" This was when straight people used it. It just meant you were an asshole. And so he said that. I just remembered, like, I didn't know what to do. It was just like, it was so fucking childish. But I also knew he was going to like beat the shit out of me. So I just went like right back into my state, like my act. Like, that's almost like a cooties joke, you know? This right here, the reaction to that is why you can never leave the comedy clubs, by the way. Like, because that used to be a funny story, but now because of like, that now gay people said what that word makes us feel like, now everybody, even if you say it and you say that somebody else said it to you, it becomes this weird thing of like, well, does he advocate what he said? It just becomes all of that, and becomes like context and all of that shit. So, well, that's what he said.
What do you got, Tom?
I went to Patrice's show Friday night, and he killed, and he destroyed this table of old people. It was hilarious.
Yeah, hilarious. Danny came in today. He saw Patrice at Governor's, and Danny said that it was like a war. I mean, most of the people sat and did what they should do, enjoy the comedian. If you're not enjoying them, let other people enjoy them. Shut up. That's all a comedian asks for.
Sit down.
If you're not enjoying it, just let everybody else. If the whole room's not enjoying it, then maybe you should be able to yell and scream and do your thing.
It was just, you know what it was? It wasn't even that amazing. It was just some entitled Long Island broad and her beat down husband.
What happened? I heard there were cops involved.
Yes, and one of the ladies.
And karate chops.
Super rich, and she was karate chopping at the cops. saying, I'm better than you. Hiya.
The cops showed up?
They showed up because the guy stood up, the guy, Jimmy, that owns the place, he finally had to move him away because I was on this guy's wife. Because when a woman's heckling, I don't say anything to the woman. I talk to the guy that goes, does this belong to you? And I just start.
What did she say to start the whole thing?
She's just, anything I said is like, yeah, whatever. And I look at this
all
guy,
loud.
Yeah, all drunk and loud. And I look at this guy and I go, let me show you something about women. And I say, look, she's not going to be able to talk unless I continue to talk myself. She has nothing to say. So I sat there and she had nothing to say. She went, you're just stupid and you're going to bother my friend. So I just looked at her and she finally shut up. So when I talked, then she talked again and then it was on. So I would have to constantly berate him and berate her through him. I like kept calling her it. Does it belong to you? and calling her man swears, you know what I mean? And
guys don't like hearing that.
Yeah, I just called him man. And he said, I didn't come here to watch you insult my wife. I said, so tell her to shut up so I don't have to insult her no more.
Is everyone applauding as you're saying this?
It was
must have been.
retarded.
And is that what that dummy did? He sided with her even though she was
Even though she was wrong, yeah.
Ugh.
So he stood up and then he started calling me names and everything. And then he called me a bitch and then said,
Did he go for the,
go for the what?
The racial angle.
No, he was scared to do that. I think he did that outside. I heard he was calling me all kind of N-words, but not using N-word, the actual
Sure.
authentic one. Yeah. So, but he goes, come outside. And I go, I already know you can't even control your wife. You're not going to be able to control me. And then what's the matter with your fists right now? They get better outside? Get out. And the crowd starts singing, nah, 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 nah. But then she had a friend, of course. Ladies always stick up for her. And it was three of them. They just got in my face and she goes, I write for the something, something, something. And I will destroy this place. And the cops came to try to throw her out and she karate kicked at him. She old lady karate kicked, hi-ya karate kicked at him.
It was hi-ya karate?
Yeah, hi-ya karate kick. And said, you will not, I'm better than you. And it was just, and the crowd, but unbelievably, the crowd, they gave a standing ovation during that whole thing. It was so crazy, but they had to leave. They were poisoned. But it was just this drunk came in with a limo, didn't know who I was, kind of, this show's about me. And the guy he says, get him off the stage. And I said,
you're the headliner.
I go, it makes more sense for you to leave than for me to leave because it's all over when I'm gone. When you go, you still go on. Stop being selfish your whole life. Get out.
He wants you to get off the stage and wreck everyone's good time.
Oh, man.
Go.
Amazing.
So wait, tell us a story about the dad and the son, the Irish man.
Dad and the son.
In Calgary.
Oh my God. I mean,
What?
I'm on stage and I talk about, the bit I do about going to a brothel in Thailand.
Oh, yeah.
How a woman's eating my butthole and all that. And I do the bit and it crushes. And from the back of the room, I see this little leprechaun stand up. He's wearing green. He's an 80-year-old Irishman. I can't do an accent.
Was he really wearing green?
Yeah, he was. He was wearing green.
Was he wearing a top hat?
I don't know about that, but it could be one of those things like,
You
I perceive
self-corrected.
what I perceive. Yeah.
He had a pot of gold.
Yeah. He had a Conor McGregor t-shirt. Yeah. And he goes, you think that's funny?
That's not bad.
That's what he says. Yeah. And I go, yeah, they laugh. Well, that's not funny.
Oh, she
right?
Challenged you.
And I go, well, they fucking laugh, right?
And people are laughing at this point still? Right?
Yeah. And I go, so then I don't know if you guys see my act, but I do a lap dance thing at the end.
Oh.
And I picked his nephew, who was like 22-year-old kid.
Yeah.
Right? And I go, I'm gonna.
Let me tell you about a story so true. We're showing me style and it's all so cool. It's about a garment torn and frayed, getting this thread, the story conveyed. Walking down the streets with holes in my teeth. Each ripped and tear part of me you see. It ain't about the brand or the label it holds. It's about the journey, the stories it unfolds. In these ragged clothes I find my voice. A testament to resilience, my choice. From the streets to the stage I rock my style. In my tattered shirt I walk that mile. Ripped and torn, but still I stand in my ragged attire. I command, it's not just fabric, it's a statement I preach. In my threadbare garment, I find my reason. From the barrio to the bar, I make my mark. In my worn out jeans, I leave a spark. They may call it rags, but I call it art. In every stitch and tear, I play my part. It's the struggle of the streets, the hustle so real. In my tattered jacket, I seal the deal. A symbol of defiance against the status quo. My passion of pants, I let it show. It's not about the riches or the wealth I lack. In my faded hoodie, I stay on track. It's the heart of the hustle, the grind each day. In my worn out kicks, I find my way. Ripped and torn, but still I stand. In my ragged attire, I command. It's not just fabric, it's a statement I preach. In my threadbare garment, I find my reach. So here's to the ones with the clothes that tear. In our patched up attire we have, so let the world see our garments worn. For in our rags, our stories are born. In the language of the streets we speak. In our torn up clothes we find our peak.
I show you funny.
Did he volunteer, or you just said?
Of course, yeah.
He
you
did
have to
volunteer, but there was a lot of people that volunteered.
Yeah.
And I honed right in on him.
The leprechaun family.
And I go, leprechaun, look, right? And I went so sexual, and I could see him get up and walk out of the room.